But before I get started, just a quick poll. How many persons here are currently working somewhere? So you're looking to develop, just grow. How many persons are looking to secure a job? Okay, and how many persons are running a business? Okay, so I'll literally just share my story, right? So the topic we are discussing today is lessons from the top, the 10x career blueprint, unlocking growth and high income opportunities. There was a post I made on LinkedIn 2 years ago. I really wanted to put that picture, but then I didn't want it to be like, okay, it's about and a lot of people found that post really inspiring, which is why when I talk to recruiters, I tell them that it's good to take a chance on people, right? Not everybody is going to come up correct, like come everything all wrong, and that is literally my story. And also, sometimes when we see people who are thriving, we tend to think that their background has contributed to where they are, but it's not always the case, right? Your parents have done what they can for you. Your background is not, as fantastic as it's supposed to be, but you also have your destiny in your hand to shape your future however you want to shape it. Which is why I'd like to start with my background. So, who's from Kogi State here? Yes. Oh, really? Where in Kogi State are you from? Oh, Igala. You? Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm not going to share my story again. He's right from my where I grew up. I grew up in Ampa. Right. So, Ampa, where are you from? Oh, they're all Igalas, funny enough. So you know where we are from, right? So we are not from the best of places when you talk about opportunities and all that. And then my parents were also not, fantastically placed. You know what a life of a civil servant with 5 children is like, right? And then I grew up in that kind of background where you go to watch movies from the window of your friends, and then God help you if you have offended that your friend that day, they could literally just close the window, and then it's end of discussion. You have to go back home. That's how growing up was. But then I've had a drive, from when I was little to say, do I like where we are? No. Can I change it right now? Not quite. But then do I have the opportunity to change it in the future? Absolutely, right? So we continue that way. I remember in secondary school, we like to speak Igala. I was growing up to be a very local student, I must confess. So I would speak Igala at home. Please, when I'm sharing my story, I need us to pick salient points, right? Salient points. So this particular story I'm sharing is for you to be intentional about your connection and the people that you allow in your corner. There is no such thing as I can't be influenced. You really can be influenced, right? As the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. So I was like a king in the village of the blind. So among my peers at the time, I wasn't the top 3 in class, but then, I was comfortable with what I was in 9th position, 10th position. I attended demonstration secondary school, by the way. So it's one of the best in Ampa, the staff school. So I was just okay. So my friends were just, a couple of them were not smart. So I was feeling like I was good. And I got to GS2 and someone joined the class. Her dad had retired as a soldier from Kaduna and he had moved back home. And I realized that for every single class, this girl would answer questions. Like, what's going on? Physical and health education, CRS, integrated science, intro tech. I'm like, how can you know everything? So all the time. And then I took notes of this girl. I'm like, what's going on? You know what I started doing? I mean, just to how old was I? 13, 14. I started warning my friends to say, look, no more Igala. Where I am now, don't speak Igala. They thought I was joking. And then they were speaking Igala out in English. So I started changing deliberately. Nobody told me. And then in GS3, I started warming up to the girl. So when I started warming up to her, we became friends. And sometimes they say unhealthy competition. Whether it was unhealthy at the time, I don't know, but it worked for me. So when I became friends with her in jest, I told myself that I can't be friends with this girl and watch her excel while I still stay at the back. It's not going to happen. Do you have light in Ankpa? How many years ago? No light. We don't have light. Yours truly would, because you know how African parents are. So my mom is a typical African parent. So that you're going to school does not mean you're not going to do all the things you need to do. So I'll still come back from school, I'll do everything I need to do, and then go outside, turn on my candle, and I'll start reading. And I love to read the music. You don't have light, how do you get music? So I was getting this radio that I put battery. So my dad noticed it, so he always got me battery. So I'll put the candle, put the radio, Joy FM, and then that's it. I would read into the night. And when I got into SS1 and we're being handed our results, for the first time in my entire life, I came first and I felt like the world has to shift. Like, did this just happen? Because even I did not believe myself. And what that taught me about life is that anybody can, and that if you put in the hard work, you will get the results. There are no two ways. And you really can't wish this thing to say, you see people you admire and you wish you could wish your way through to where they are. There was something you said that it's not about the certificates, right? I tell people that the baseline in the world that we live in is just be a graduate. And don't just be any graduate. Come out in flying colors. Because when you don't come out with good grades, you might not even get in the room. But every other thing can follow after that, right? So, mind you, I still have 3 younger ones. I knew that, look, they've done it for you. Your father has tried. You can't put additional burden on this man. So the last money my dad gave to me was when I was coming to Abuja to serve in 2015. And he gave me 10,000 naira. So from that day till now, it's been me, taking care of myself and then sending back home. Now, knowing where I was coming from, I have actually 3 younger ones who are still in school. This man still has a lot of things to do. So I also told myself that, look, I'm not going to add any other burden to him, on him rather. So I thought to myself, what am I going to do? I served 2015, 2016, and of course there were no jobs. I was applying for stuff, jobs were not coming. Now, it's in the age and time that we live in, I don't think it makes sense for anybody to be completely idle because that job you're looking for, you haven't quite gotten. And we also live in a day where information is super accessible. If there is any platform that has helped me so much, like I have made so much from, what platform? Thank you. I have learned so much. I love to cook. So I've learned so many recipes on YouTube. But I do fashion on the side. So I have a clothing brand. I need what I'm wearing. Now, between the 1 year that I wasn't working, what I used in sustaining myself was the craft I had. And that craft, I didn't go to any traditional, maybe a fashion designer or anybody to learn. So I started by learning how to make bow ties, lapels, pocket squares, and then I was also making clothes. I will not forget the day I bought my first sewing machine. I went all the way to Suleja to buy it with my last card, 30,000 naira. And then why that day is significant for me is because it rained, and I remember how the car I boarded dropped me at Beggar. It's not their business whether it's raining or not, and I was waiting for the next car to leave me where I was staying. And I came back. I got to my room. I was feeling like somebody who had who had bought a Lamborghini, because that was like the greatest asset I had. And then that was what set me up. So I was making my clothes, doing stuff. Now, whilst waiting and just managing with the crafts that I had, I was applying for jobs. Now, when you're completely idle, you know what that does to you? It makes you take any and every opportunity you see, because half bread is better than none. So it was whilst I was still waiting, Rogic started. I came to church, and pastors like, oh, what do you do? They tried to get me a job. I turned down 2 jobs. Why? They were offering me something. I felt like, okay, if I put my mind down on my craft, on a very good month, I could earn more. So why take it? And then you even want me to come to work on Saturday. So no matter what it is, right? Education is good, your certificate is good, but we live in an age where your craft really can take you a very long way. So I will continue sharing a couple of insights as we proceed, but let's get into the slide quickly. Now, when we're talking about the 10x career, we see that the future of work has changed. The reason I use this picture is 15 years ago, 10 years ago, possibly, we had traditional professions. Yeah, I'm an accountant, I'm an engineer, I'm a doctor, I'm a this, I'm a that. But if someone had told us 10 years ago that a time would come where somebody would be on a platform called social media, and then you're making money, to sound insane. That somebody is a content creator. What is that? Till today, I still struggle to tell my parents what I do. Yes, it's still a struggle. So my mom visits, and then because I work remotely, I go to the office only on Mondays. And the reason they did that is just to create, that community bonding amongst them. So I'm at home most of the time. So she will be like, you wake up, all I see you do is carry your laptop, and then you say you're working. You know that an African mother who does not understand what tech and how the world has evolved will just be like, what kind of work is this? But that is where we are. And which is why, beyond your certificate, whatever you studied in school, I'm not practicing what I studied. Fashion is not food science, and then business development that I'm doing today is obviously not food science, right?